Now, if creatives have the opposite of routine, sometimes we need a good routine. I know for myself, I have to have a routine in the morning. If I don't get up and exercise first and then eat breakfast and then get ready, that's my routine. If I don't do it in that order, I guarantee you the one thing that doesn't get done during the day is exercise. It has to be the first thing I do. And in business, I also have a routine, things I have to do first before I start my more creative things. So sometimes those routine things need to be done. And so you have to have a routine for some things, but then you have to also allow yourself to be creative and not be stuck in the idea that there's only one way to do it. Because remember, there's not a right way or a wrong way, but there's always a better way. So when you desire something, to get to that change, you must be able to change your paradigm. Your paradigm is those habitual thought processes, just like the lady with the ham. She cut her ham because that was a habit. Her pan was plenty big enough to put that ham in, but she did it out of habit. When the habit's in control, when that paradigm, those persistent habits are in control, nothing's going to change. It's not going to allow you to change, even though that's exactly what you want. You can desire something and you know, that's what you want. But if that paradigm's in control and it's saying you don't deserve it, or you can't do it, or who do you think you are, or you're not good enough, whatever it is, then nothing's going to change. You must change the paradigm first. How do you change it? Same way it was put in there, spaced repetition. Eric Hoffer said this: to learn, we need to have a certain degree of confidence, not too much and not too little. If we have too little, we think we can't learn. If we have too much, we think we don't need to learn. So we need to learn something new. We need a little confidence, but not too much. Because if you have too much, you think you don't need it. And if you have too little, you think you can't do it, that you're not capable. And he also said this about learning. He said, in times of rapid change, and that's where we're at. We are in times of rapid change. All you have to do is look at everything that happens in a week. Now think about it. If 100 years can fit into 1 year, that means 1 week is like, what, 2 years going on? So you have a lot happening in a week. 2 years of past. So he says to learn, in times of rapid change, learners will inherit the earth. Learners, are you a learner? And he says, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. So if you're willing to learn, you'll inherit the earth because you're willing to change. But if you think you know it all and you're what do they call learned, you're going to find yourself in a world that no longer exists. How often have we seen that happen? So we are either learning or we're not. If we're learning, we're moving forward. If we're not, we're going backwards. So we can do that all by developing ourselves from within, by being willing to step out and learn things that are new. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, is to invest in yourself, to learn new things, to always be on that cutting edge, and to be willing to listen to others. That's what being coachable. When I have a client, I know they're coachable if they're willing to listen. And sometimes I get on calls where my coach is, and I listen to people that try to interrupt the coach. The coach is trying to help them to move forward, to help them to learn. And sometimes people are resistant to that, maybe think they know more than the coach does, and they question. And it's good to question, don't get me wrong, but it's good to question when you want to find out more information. It's not good to question in the way of, are you sure about this type attitude? Hopefully you understand the difference there. So learning is needed to improve our lives. We have to keep learning new things and improve the quality of our life. And when we do that, we invent the person we want to be, because we've decided, we have this picture perhaps of who we need to be or what we want to do with our lives. And we invent ourselves to be that person because that's why we're here. Otherwise, this is what happens. You allow the world to mold you into the person that the world thinks you should be. Now, as world, I'm saying, other people in that you're in contact with. You allow them to mold you into the person that they think you should be, instead of allowing yourself to be the person that you want to be. And we have to make sure that when we do that, that we are investing in ourselves, and we have to make sure we make the right investments for us. Sometimes you'll see people, and maybe they go into the same career as their parents or their grandparents, and they maybe don't want to do that, but they've been molded into that. And maybe they get into that position, and 5 or 10 years, they hate what they're doing. And when they want, they invent themselves and they become the person they want to be. When they feel molded, they tend to be very stuck. And that's why sometimes people are stuck. I mean, there's lots of reasons for people being stuck, but that can be one of the reasons, because they've allowed others to mold them into the person that they are instead of thinking about who they are. And that comes from the inside. Hence, your inside power. So just because we know something doesn't mean we do it. And there's the next thing. And that all goes back to the paradigm. We can know exactly what to do to change or to get out of our comfort zone. We may know exactly what we need to do. That doesn't mean we're going to do it. Why is it? Because that paradigm is controlling us. It controls everything we do. It controls how we use our time. Paradigms control how we utilize money, controls our perception of what's going on is controlled by a paradigm. I think about this in today's world. We are being completely controlled by our paradigms when we look at a situation and we only see it one way. There's always two sides to every story, always two sides to every story. But when we're only willing to look at one, we're allowing that paradigm to control us and to not look at all the sides of the story and how everybody's thinking. Training companies or companies spend billions of dollars training people to do things, and yet they don't do them. Because their paradigm, if they understood how the mind worked, they would understand that you can give people training. It doesn't mean they're going to do it.